Alright, welcome to Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. We are Portland Paper, and we're here with some modern action. On the left, we have Zeke Rosenberg playing Blue-Black Faeries, and on the right, we have Nick Beckert playing Mono-White Eldrazi. So it looks like we had a turn 1 Leonin Arbiter from Nick off of a Simian Spirit Guide, and he's currently getting Thoughtseize. And he only has 3 lands and a Thoughtseize.
Again, I am Eric Savilich, and this is...
Oh, and I'm Quentin Wilebski. Totally missed that.
Alright, it looks like the Mono-White Eldrazi player kept a very interesting hand, hoping he would maybe cheese an opponent who kept a handful of fetches with that Seeming Spirit Guide.
Well, also notable interaction. He basically just strip-mined his opponent with the interaction of Ghost Quarter and not being able to pay to search.
Right. Unfortunately, he's also stuck with one of the Gemstone Karens, which only is relevant if you play second, but...
Yeah, definitely an interesting keep from Nick. I believe Zeke just played a land with cycling from Amonkhet block. I don't know the name of it. Second Leonin Arbiter.
Looks like this strategy might pay off, because if there's no way to get the Arbiters off the field, then... Fetid Pools
Is the name of that land, yes.
Thank you very much.
So you were saying?
It's going to be very difficult for Zeke to resolve anything past maybe a Spell Surge Sprite, Remand, that sort of line.
Exactly, yeah. Notably, he has the mana to resolve Bitter Blossom, which may give him...
Ah.
Ooh, Snapcaster's blocking. Okay. Classic Ambush Viper.
We're going to get a good look at Zeke's hand.
Looks like 2 copies of Serum Visions, copy of Spell Snare, Liliana, and Bitter Blossom. I would honestly be surprised if he didn't take... I would take the Bitter Blossom for sure. Because the Liliana is essentially uncastable unless he wants to pay to search his library, in which case you, like, Time Walked him.
And he doesn't really have any good way of answering Bitter Blossom in the main deck.
Yeah, that is true. Well, he can just, like, spend some mana displacing all the tokens every turn.
Well.
So, it's not, like, no answer, but, like, it is just going to keep, keep generating out those tokens.
I personally would gladly take 3 mana for 1 life trade if I were on Zeke's side.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So Zeke is down to 8, just getting beat down by Leonin Arbiters. Nick has a 2-turn clock on board. And lethal.
What do you think of him keeping up his mana with Nick knowing the full hand?
Yeah, instead of like cantripping or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was very good, but sometimes you just count yourself out, right? Sometimes you just like go back and watch and you're like, oh yeah.
Sure.
It was just dead.
You can't even draw a Fatal Push or something because he's no way to trigger a Revolt.
Yeah,
to get rid of the 4/4.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he could fetch. He just can't also search.
Sure.
So he could have triggered Revolt. Do you think that either of these decks... I mean, these are pretty off-the-wall decks. Do you think that they have anything interesting they could get from sideboarding?
Well, Mono-White Eldrazi could side in something along the lines... Well, I know they have Worship in their sideboard. It's probably not that great in this matchup. You're not really under a lot of pressure. Plus, Blue-Black Faeries has a lot of removal. They are probably going to side in some form of enchantment removal to stop that Bitter Blossom, if I had to guess, as
Sure.
a 1 or 2 of. Trying to think. They have a lot of Hate Bear-esque cards, which aren't really that relevant in this matchup. I can't really think of. Dimir Faeries might have Damnation effects in the sideboard.
Yeah.
Or Knights of Souls Betrayal sort of effects, which
Sure.
would be very strong.
Yeah. Do you think Surgical Extraction plays here?
I do not think Surgical Extraction is good against either of these decks in any significant capacity, because surgical extraction in these two decks is only good if you're using it as like a Cabal therapy type effect,
Sure.
and can nab a card from their hand as well, which
Yeah.
is going to be quite rare. Um,
I was thinking mostly like specifically Zeke bringing it in to deal with Reality Smasher because it's just like so big and all the cost to like get rid of it other than Damnation is like pretty hard.
yeah, I feel like he's hoping to potentially counter it or
Sure.
use a Liliana of the Veil in the most ideal scenario.
Sure.
Obviously, any control deck does not want to face a Reality Smasher
Yeah.
because that thing is a pain in the butt to deal with, but yeah, that's possible. It's just you're relying on getting it out of their hand and also having the surgical extraction to then
Exactly.
deal
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it. And at that point, your Reality Smasher's already gotten a 2-for-1,
Yeah.
whereas dealing with it on the board, again,
Also
is a 2-for-1 as
yeah,
well.
Sure. So it looks like Zeke has some Damnation effects in his deck. You can see it. He was on the bottom when he was shuffling. Hopefully both players get good 7s. Have you experimented with the London Mulligan at all?
With the London Mulligan,
Yeah.
very marginally. I think it will have impact on FNMs the most,
Sure.
where people bring stuff like the treasure hunt type of decks, the zombie hunt type of decks.
Sure, yeah, the more
and
like all-in
Cheerios
combo. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that sort of thing. Oh, and here we have a Force of Will the land on turn 0. Uh-oh, and we have a judge call.
Wonder what the judge call is for.
Judge. I'm going first, and he did this, so then I drew a card, but I wasn't supposed to draw it because I was going first. Yeah, he was confused. So I just looked at the
Oh, so the situation is Zeke drew while Nicholas was trying to Force of Will out his lands, Gemstone Cavern, because if it's in your opening hand, similar to the ley line effects,
Yeah.
if you're going second or not playing first, you can have it in play before your opponent gets to do any actions, such as drawing.
Exactly.
I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna take 3 and include it. Sure.
So it looks like other than that, both players kept 6 or 7.
No, they both kept 7.
Yeah, they both kept 7.
That was a good call, I guess.
So Nick's hand has a Temple, Thalia, Reality Smasher, Chalice of the Void, and Leon Arbiter.
Chalice of the Void is an interesting one. I think it's only
Don't want you to have that one.
most relevant on 2. In this matchup, you hit a lot of their
Helpful.
repeatable effects and or counter spells.
Snapcaster Mage, Spellstudy Sprite, Bitter Blossom.
Right. Remand.
Yeah.
I guess it's okay on 1 as well.
So another weird thing about this, I guess, so he's gonna put it on 1?
I guess.
Yeah.
Do you prefer playing Arbiter or Chalice on 1 there?
Yeah, it is tough. Well, I think there's also he had a Thalia in his hand. Oh, the Thalia got taken. Never mind.
Right. Well, with the Thalia being taken, it could indicate he has some cheap spells to pump out.
Sure. Exactly. Liliana coming down, edicting the Arbiter. Reality Smasher.
Come on.
Just like we talked about in the boarding process.
I'll tag you.
So Zeke has already taken 5 from his lands, and he's already. I mean, Reality Smashers are 2 from clock now. That's pretty good.
Right. By the time he's going to be able to sacrifice a creature, he will be dead.
Dead. Yeah.
So it's not as helpful. Bitter Blossom not doing anything against Reality Smasher whatsoever. Nicholas correctly pointing out that 1-mana spells get countered by Chalice of the Void.
Oh, Nick's last card in hand. Oh, never mind. Not last card, but he has.
Smasher?
Oh, and
Ooh.
he's dead.
And that was a
Wow,
quick
that was a
2-0.
very fast match.
Stupid game.
And the power of
Wow.
Reality Smasher, I guess the answer is,
Stupid.
if you had Surgical Extraction, it would have been very good that game. But
Yeah.
hindsight's 2020, and you know he would also have to have the Surgical Extraction in hand.
Yeah, this
Well,
thing's
also
like,
he couldn't take it because it was
yeah,
5K,
it's
right? It
like-
wasn't.
Oh
it
yeah, it
wasn't
was,
top
it was
really
Inquisition.
bad.
You're
What the
right.
fuck was that?
Yeah. Well, it looks like we have a bunch of time left around. I wonder if we can
It
get
was
another
almost
match.
for a second.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
want
I
to
got
look
the
around
yeah,
and
I
see if
just-
somebody's
yeah,
sideboarding?
just top deck deals or other temple and kill me.